Ba 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 da bow, la ba 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 da bow, bo 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 bo. Ladies and gentlemen and everything in between, welcome to episode 344. It's the episode 344 spectacular, is what it is. What's spectacular about it? Absolutely fucking nothing. But welcome to it regardless. How are we doing? What's going on? What's up to the people in the live chat this evening? It is time once again to pull up a pew, to crack open a bottle of liquid patience, roll yourself up a fat one, rack a couple up, whatever's your poison, whatever is your vice, and join me once again as we might dance through these fields of dystopia once more, because it's been a week, guys, hasn't it? It's been a week. Should I sort my camera out? Looks a little bit funny there, doesn't it? A bit better. A little bit zoomed in. Let me just sort it out. Do. There we go. Maybe that's a little bit better, isn't it? There we go. That feels a little bit more human. A little bit less, right in your face. Where was I? Right, so it's been a week. It's been a bit of a week. Let's get the live chat showing. Here we go. Who's in the house? Sarah Davies is in the house. Diz is in the house. Billy Kershaw, Richard Marsden, Mojo Sabian. Yuri, aka Stu, is joining us this evening. Gareth Ethwe, if I said that correctly. Politics Social. How are you guys doing? Hope we are all in good spirits this evening. What's been going on this week? What should we talk about? What shall we discuss this evening in as ribald and educated and intellectually stimulating fashion as we have all grown accustomed to on this show? On these Friday night live streams. Trump is now officially the 47th president of the United States of America. That's a big thing that happened this week. Elon Musk did the Nazi salute thing and then proceeded to joke about it on Twitter. The UK government want to approve the expansion of Heathrow Airport, and this is after they've already watered down their own £28 billion green program. I wondered why they might do that. Like how? Why would a party who were so keen in campaign mode to take net zero seriously, how could they ever have arrived at the idea that doubling flight emissions at what is already the world's second most polluting airport, how that might help with that aspiration? So I was confused, dear viewers, dear listeners. But it is all part, I'm told, it's all part of a commitment to growth, they've said. So that's nice. That's good. It's nice that they're so keen on growth. It's clear to me now. That's the end goal that we're all trying to get to. I think they're going for growth, and if it costs them the planet, that's a price they're willing to pay to reach that goal, guys. Don't tell me that they don't take it seriously. Of course they take it seriously. They're all about growth and they're willing to bet the house on it. Clearly. They're not taking this lightly, are they? That's why we need the Heathrow expansion, is because we're going for growth, guys. To which Ed Davey, leader of the Liberal Democrats, replied, "Oh, right, okay, well, if it's growth you want, how about, it's just an idea, just occurring to me now, how about we rebuild a relationship with the European Union. And Starmer's like, no. We want growth. We do. We want growth. That is what we're going for. And we're desperate to get it. We're obviously very, very keen on achieving that growth, Ed. We're so keen on it that we will render the planet completely uninhabitable to reach it. But come at me again with your simple solutions to complex, actually not that complex, your simple solutions to actually seemingly quite simple problems, and I'm going to give you a slap, son, appeared to be the response from Labour HQ. So it's been quite an eye-opening week, I think, observing Labour this week. Like, you know, don't get it twisted with the whole EU customs union thing, guys. Like, where we are now with all of that is well, where are we? Let's take stock of this for a moment. Where are we politically, internationally, with regards to trade? Where are we? We are shaking hands with the Saudis, with the guy deemed to be responsible for the butchering of Khashoggi. We're shaking his hand for a trade deal or something similar to it. We're cozying up to China. Cozying up to China both of those, than doing deals with our closest political and cultural neighbours. That is where we are. We are chasing the approval of President Xi, who heads up, what does he head up? He heads up a dangerous, spying, adversarial, dictatorial, murderous state is what he heads up. We're chasing his approval rather than just, you know, working with these guys. That's what we're working with, these incredibly, actually very reasonable people, nice people over here. That's the decision that we're coming to. Like, heaven forbid, guys, that we just work with these fellas. This nice lot over here. I mean, like, I was ranting about this on BlueSky. I was saying, like, it's basically like, you know, fobbing off the wholesome, fresh-faced, wifey material over here. You know, the one that all of your mates tell you is a nice girl. You know, she's nice, she's friendly, she gets on with your friends, your mum would love her. Like, you're pieing her off so you can go off and like, go fuck and catch herps with the star of Women Who Kill. Like, that is the level of poor decision making that is going on here right now. It's chasing the bad decision in spite of the obviously good option. Just over here. It's right here, guys. And everyone can see it. It's like, you know, what is it like? It's like your mate Phil, right? I don't know if you guys have ever had a friend like this. But it's like your mate Phil, who works in, what would his job be? He works in back office settlements, an insurance broker, or, you know, something boring and stable or whatever. Guy's just a fairly boring guy, right? We all know a Phil. And then he turns up to the engagement do, right, of one of your friends or a friend of a friend. You haven't seen him for a while. He turns up there with his new girlfriend, Sky. And Sky spends the entire night doing coke in the bathroom, in between trying to cop off with the barman, who she is talking shit to about Phil, her boyfriend. Just constantly slagging him off to the guy that she's trying to cop off with. And you pull Phil aside. You're like, are you sure it's worth you trying to build a relationship with this one? Are you? But he's just sold. That is the US and China and the EU right now. That is where UK trade is in 2025. Starmer is Phil. If you want to explain it to you, Starmer is Phil. He's over here He's desperately trying to make it look like it's an okay relationship, like it's something he's happy with. He's like calling over to the bar. He's calling over to Sky. He's like, sweetheart, I'm just getting another drink. Would you like another Chardonnay? And she's sucking off the barman. She's like, yeah, that sounds lovely. Yeah. God, I can't stand him. That's where we are. That is the UK, EU, and China. Guys. Or if you don't like it that way round, you know, gender-wise. If you don't like it that way round, it could also, you could adequately describe it like this also. It's like Keir Starmer is up there at the press conference, right? He's up there behind the podium and he's ignoring the decent partners that he could have, i.e. the European Union. And he's like, you know, we're like China now. We want to build a strong relationship with China, right? But we're all looking at him like as he's trying to build this strong partnership with Xi, we're all looking at him in the same way that we used to look at our female friends back in the day, the ones who thought that they could change him. Do you know? Like, everybody used to have a friend like that. Everybody used to have a friend who thought they could make him change. Oh, I look at Starmer like, you know, as he's trying to build a productive relationship or a productive partnership with China, I look at him like hometown friends from like 20 years ago who would be like, I really think I can tame him. I think I can change him. I really think I can. I might be the one who can tame him, though. That is Keir Starmer's government right now. I can tame it. We all love a bad boy, don't we? What a shame Starmer doesn't have such an appetite to tame that other breed of bad boys who also habitually disrespect him, the UK print media. Now, what else has happened? Trump ordered Putin. I don't know if you saw this. Trump ordered Putin to wind up the Ukraine conflict. Guys, it's a pretty funny story, I thought. Trump ordered Putin to wind up the Ukraine conflict. He told him to pack it in. Told him to shut that thing down. So he did. Donald Trump orders Vladimir Putin to end ridiculous war. Ordered him. Trump ordered Putin. The actual quote, which I couldn't believe, was, he said, I'm going to do Russia, whose economy is failing, and President Putin a very big favor. That's how it started. And everyone was like, right. Gonna do him a favor, is he? He's gonna hand Ukraine to Putin, isn't he? Like, that's the favor. That's what he's gonna... I'm going to do Putin a very big favour. Okay, yeah, I sort of expected that you would do. He's going to FedEx Zelensky straight to the gulags. Like, why did you even bother tweeting about it? We all kind of guessed that's what you were going to do for Putin, your favour for Putin. But no. He says, settle now and stop this ridiculous war. It's only going to get worse. If we don't make a deal soon, he used air quotes. I don't know why a deal is in inverted commas. If we don't make a deal and soon, I will have no other choice but to put high levels of taxes, tariffs, and sanctions on anything being sold by Russia to the United States, which I was like, wow. Fucking hell, Donny. You're going to sanction Russia, are you? Oh, my God. I wonder what they're going to do. I wonder how this is going to play out. I mean, this is going to take them completely by shock. Like, if only they had had some practice or preparation time to get used to something like that. Like the last fucking 3 years that they've already been under sanctions, including from the United States. How are they going to handle this, I wondered. Like, that's when you know that your enemy is not really a threat, isn't it? That's when you know, like, am I really supposed... Is when, like, the only threats that they've got is actually things that you're already dealing with. It's already your life, as it is. You know? It's like one of Donnie's lot barging into the live chat tonight and going like, you better stop talking shit about POTUS. And I'll be like, or what? And they'll be like, or I'm going to mess up your teeth so bad. I'll be like, oh, fucking, I wonder what that'll be like. I wonder what that'll be like. You know, like, it's not a threat. It's just the status quo. I'd be like, you know, threatening me with more of the same? Threatening me with more of the same? Like, who are you? Labour campaign strategy? Okay. So, I mean, look, listen, guys, you get why this is so ridiculous, right? The Trump threatening Putin thing, right? Threatening Russia with sanctions when they're already used to them. It's like the Tories warning us against high taxes in the election campaign. Do you remember, like, that thing that they were like, oh, if you vote for Labour, guaranteed high taxes. As sure as night follows day, Labour will raise your taxes. Like, you've just hiked nearly every single tax every single year for a generation. I don't think, like, watch out for the high taxes, guys. Okay, yes, yeah, well prepped for that. Thank you. Anyway, so Trump says, let's get this war, which never would have started if I were president. He says, let's get this war over with. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. And the easy way is always better. He says, it's time to make a deal. I don't know why he keeps using, like, inverted commas. Like, it yields suspicion, doesn't it? Like, if somebody said to me, like, hey, do you want to make a deal? I'd be like, no. Red flags flapping away here. Do I want to make it? Like, just say make a deal. Don't turn it into a euphemism for something. That concerns me. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. He says, like, why does he always talk like he's in a shitty 1970s movie? Or something that, like, the screenplay's been penned by some, like, liquored up old screenwriter doing awful dialogue. It's always shit like, you know, I will unleash fire and fury, the likes of which you have never seen. We could do this the easy way or the hard way, you know? Like, I give it another couple of days. President Trump is going to do a, like, national address or something. He's going to just perform the fucking monologue from Independence Day or Braveheart or some shit. Anyway. So he's ordered Putin to stop this ridiculous war. He's ordered Putin. How do you guys feel about that? You guys in the live chat. How do you feel when he orders Putin to do something? Because I was like, you know, is this guy firing on all cylinders? Is he? Is he, like, all there? I mean, I know we talk a lot about Biden's sanity or senility or whatever. I was like, is he with us? Is he... Has he forgotten who his actual boss is? Has he forgotten the dynamic? This is another thing I was ranting about on BlueSky the other day. I was just like, this is like... I tell you what this is like. This is like me and my missus going for a lunch in Cote. And I order her to pay the bill. Like, it might appear like I'm in charge. I'm not. Soon I will understand that. This situation and me ordering her is not going to end positively for me. But anyway, he orders Putin to wind up this ridiculous war I still think it's a mistake of his because I think he was compromised, like back in the day. Like, go ahead and watch my video. I put this out a couple of weeks ago. About like all of the reasons that I think that he's still like he's a Russian asset. But this kind of shit, like when I read the headline, Trump orders Putin to stop ridiculous war. I'm like, whoa, okay. Easy there, Donny. You don't want to go and piss off your boss now, do you? You know, like he's just going to go ahead and get compromated and then act like he's in a position to make demands? Like, are you fucking insane? What is going on there? I wondered. You know, is he stupid? Is it performative? Perhaps? Like, is Russia in on it sort of thing? You know what I mean? Or like here's another theory. That I came to was that assuming he is compromated, assuming that they do have tapes of him getting pissed on with Russian hookers and, you know, all of that stuff like the MI6 guy said, assuming Putin isn't in on this tactic, whatever it may be, the only scenario left that I came to was that after getting those swing states in the election, after the total collapse of the Democratic vote, right, the command he has of various pillars of the American state, I actually wonder if Donald Trump genuinely thinks that he's God now. Like, is that what's going on here? Like, he's, you know, he's, what's the word? Invincible. Everyone was saying, oh, I think Donald Trump's going to jail. Everyone was saying, oh, I think Donald Trump's going to get bankrupted. Everyone was saying, like, Donald Trump is going to be out of politics. He's down and out. Even his own party are going to turn against him, etc. He survived it all. He survived and thrived. I wonder if Donald Trump genuinely thinks he's God now. You know, like he doesn't have to worry about the Russian hookers video or Putin or whatever, like he's invincible. All of this talk about how he's been sent back by God to make America great again. I think he's surrounded himself with so many weird, gaudy MAGA types and QAnon shaman and MAGA prophets. Like, I actually think that he thinks he's in a position to order Vladimir Putin to withdraw from Ukraine now. In spite of whatever the previous power dynamic might have been between the two of them. I think Donald Trump thinks he's God now. And what was the other one that came out yesterday? I don't know if you saw this. He told Saudi Arabia, ordered them, if you like, he ordered Saudi Arabia to drop their oil prices. What the fuck? He told Saudi Arabia to drop their oil prices. Just told them to. I mean, what are these countries supposed to think? What are they supposed to say, like, in response to that? When he's like, hey, you, make your oil cheaper. Hey, you over there, I order you to do as I say. Like I could imagine Saudi Arabia and Putin, you know, MBS from the Saudis, Vladimir Putin over here, talking amongst each other. And they're like, are you going to do what he said? Fucking no. Are you? No. Also no. You know, there's just something so tragic there. Isn't there? You know, about a moron like Donald Trump being elevated to God status. But it's by people who are even more stupid than he is. That's who's elevated him. Up there. So now he's like walking around like he's king of the cretins. But he's still walking around like he's a king. Does that make sense? That is what it comes off like. You know, and I can imagine like Putin or MBS from Saudi Arabia being like, you might be celebrated and lauded in your home country by about half the country, like you're the fucking second coming of Christ by these red-capped idiots twixt a sip of Coors Light and throwing one up their sister's ovary pond. They might love you. They might really love your style, Donny. But rest assured, the rest of us, geopolitically, the rest of us throughout the rest of the world, we remain unenamored, to say the least. Like if you were Jesus, right? If you were Jesus, Donald, the rest of us would be over here cheering on Pontious Pilate. We would be like, I'm with this guy. Yes, Team Pontious, all the way. What else has happened this week? What else has been going on, guys? People in the live chat. I've just noticed I've zoomed myself in a little bit more. Let's bring that out. There we go. Oh, I can move the camera's position as well. That's funky. There we go. What else has been going on? Thames Water is literally teetering on the brink of collapse. So that's fun. That's the latest in the formerly Great Britain's industrial decline. Thames Water is teetering on the brink of collapse and administration. So yeah. I mean, I'm not super like commercially aware. I'm not a turbo capitalist. I don't know necessarily like how to make mean profits and all of that. But what I have noticed about Thames Water is that it turns out now, in hindsight, that flushing sewage into the River Thames, after which you are named, it turns out that putting all that shit and piss in there isn't as profitable as was previously envisaged, as was forecast in the quarterly biannual forecasts. It's not so much of a market for it, seemingly, in retrospect. It's good. Like, we know that now. We know that. Thames Water, like now, it's basically just what is it? It's just a byword for shit water. That's what it means now. That's what people you say Thames Water to somebody and they go, oh yeah, okay, shit water, like literal shit water. Got it. Yeah, picturing it in my head right now. Like, imagine working for Thames Water these days, man. Imagine working for Thames Water with a Thames Water name badge or Thames Water emblem, overalls and all of that. And they're a water company. So you signed up to work for them proud that they were a water company. They're a utility on which many, many millions of people rely. But literally, the Thames Water is where they're dumping their sewage. So it's like, even the name just means shit water. Now, I'm just saying it must be a little bit demotivating. Must be, in terms of the Sunday Times best employers or like most motivating employers of 2025, I don't know. Maybe somewhere between fucking Enron and, I don't know. What else would a terrible company be? A demotivating company? RBS, maybe? Let me know in the live chat. Here's a story I found the other day. I thought it was quite funny. Didn't have a chance to talk about it on the paper review, but I wanted to. Cheers, by the way. What's up to people in the live chat? Richard Grumpy Git has joined us. What's up, Rich? Richard Marsden too. So this story I saw the other day. A new study revealed that boys' default ability, innate, or at least near innate, considering how young the study was based on. A new study revealed that boys' default ability to behave like they know more and deserve more reward for pretending to know more That starts in early years development, said a study that was published in the Times the other day. Now, this will surprise absolutely nobody. Like, I don't even know why they did it. Why did they do a study on it? What were they trying to prove here? We all know this. Not going to surprise anyone that we men over-exaggerate our ability, our contributions. We talk down to people. We mansplain. And then at the end of that hugely charming and gentlemanly campaign, at the end of it, we expect a pat on the head and a blowjob for doing less and pretending that we did more. A shocking study. That one, nobody saw that one coming. I didn't. Did you guys? Did any men in the chat see that coming? Any men see the results of that study coming? And can they please explain it to these dumb bitches who clearly would... Oh, okay, that's too far. Hey, even if you're sarcastic. Richard Marsden's just dropped a super chat in. What's up, Rich? He says, thank you for all you don't, or us spell it. I assume that's thank you for all you do for us, Bellends, Daily Mate. Can we talk Farage nephews? Frogspawn. Yes, let's touch on the Farage nephew situation, but we might do that in the Q&A, in the lock-in, which we will come back to obviously very shortly. For those of you joining for the first time, we do like a podcast proper, the podcast main, as it were, from 7:30 to 8:30, and then we're going to stay on for a little bit, have a bit of Q&A, bit of freestyling. We'll break it down for the lock-in. Stay tuned for that. What else has been in the news? What else can we talk about tonight before we propel ourselves into another episode of Keeping Up with the Faragians? Labour continue in their impressively steadfast commitment to disappoint me. If you aren't keeping tally, guys, in terms of their ability to provide a refreshing change from the Tories, from austerity, from climate trashing, from transphobia, from nationalist bullshit, here is a little list that I concocted earlier. Collated, curated, whatever. Here is my list of ways that Labour continue to disappoint me. Here we go. You ready? All right. So first up, they abandoned all discussion or negotiation in terms of holding Leveson 2. They abandoned proportional representation, even though the entire Labour Party voted for it, or at least in support of it. There is no plan to rejoin the European Union, even though that would clearly be a vote winner across Tory and Labour supporters, across the electorate. They won't even consider joining the customs union. There's no plans to even discuss this new pan-Euro trade agreement, customs union light situation. They deliberately, allegedly, are strategizing ways to trash the new landmark climate bill. They've banned puberty blockers for trans teenagers. They are expanding Heathrow Airport. They've abandoned every broad conversation about press regulation in the UK. They continued to sell arms to Israel, specifically to Netanyahu, despite his international criminal court warrant being issued. They are rowing back on changes to the non-dom policy, and they've watered down their own £28 billion green plan. So, do you feel refreshed? That's my question for you guys. Do you feel refreshed at this hope and change that we voted for? How refreshed are we all feeling? I haven't felt this refreshed since my last glass of Thames Water. Like some of the list, I kind of get. Some of it, I can understand. I get that there's not necessarily loads of money in the coffers for the, for the £28 billion green programme. I understand that. I get the Leveson 2 thing. Maybe operationally quite difficult now, apparently. I understand that also. And a lot of those inquiries cost, tens, £100 million just to run them. But the cheaper things to do, like just discussing press reg more broadly. You don't have to have a whole inquiry. Just fucking talk about it. Joining the customs union would be cheap. And there would be a return on investment. Can we just maybe ignore the non-doms when they voice their concerns about the taxes that we're just nicely asking them to pay? Because I don't know if you guys saw this the other day, the non-dom thing. But it said Labour will water down their non-dom policy after listening to concerns from the non-domicile community. That's what it said. That was the headline. Labour will water down the non-dom policy after listening to concerns from the non-dom community. I was like, why are we talking about them like they're a fucking protected minority? Why are we protect the non-doms? Oh, we gotta look at. We listen to their concerns. And then we just we didn't want to piss them off. Why are we talking about non-doms when they raised their concerns? We listened to the non-domicile community. Like, what are you talking about, Rachel Reeves? On the front page of the Telegraph, or whatever the fuck it was. Well, we're going to go easy on them, after listening to the concerns of the non-domeri people or the non-domese community. Like, that's what it sounded like. It sounded like some small, tight-knit group of immigrants. Like, are you dosed up, Rach? Are you dosed up? Has somebody deep-faked the top of the Labour Party to get them to look and sound like Labour MPs, except they legislate like fucking Tories? Labour will, they're going to water down their tax policy after listening to the concerns from the non-dom community. Like, they're not some poor mischief of vulnerable immigrants being oppressed and locked up and racially attacked. These people are fucking millionaires. They are multi-millionaires. A lot of them several times over. They own corporations. They own mansions. They own private planes, diamond mines, honey trap islands with eyes wide shut parties and blackmail psyops, probably. I don't know. But that's Labour. Guys, we've been listening to the concerns of rich people, and actually we think on reflection, we might be being too harsh on the rich people. We've listened to their concerns and we're worried that we might be being a little bit hard. Oh, right, okay. Have you listened to the concerns of the physically impaired? No, not even for a second. Right, okay. So if you're not going to listen to their concerns, are you at least going to go a little bit easier? No, we're going to slash their benefits. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful stuff. How refreshing this change is. Pick up my fucking Thames Water shit smoothie. Swallow it down. How very refreshing this change is. Like, I like Labour. I do. Might not sound like it. I think they're probably the best of a bad bunch, aren't they? I don't regret voting for them. Because they were the tactical voting choice in my area, right? But I'm not going to lie either. And sometimes it feels like between them and the Conservatives, it really does feel like a game of choose your abuser. That's what it feels like. With the Tories and Labour at the moment, and it baffles me. It's like, do they know how pivotal a role the tactical voting movement the movement forward and its website, Stop the Tories, was. Do they know how much of a consequential role that played for them, for their benefit in the last election? You know, do they know that, or in case you don't know, perhaps you need a reminder, do they know that 1.5 million postcodes got looked up on that website? And the Tories lost, but Labour didn't gain support, right? Which suggests that people were actively voting against the Tories, tactically. Did you know that the collective right-wing vote, so all of the right-wing parties, that collective vote altogether was down by 25% last election because people were voting efficiently to get the Tories out? I mean, does nobody in Labour understand that that cannon can absolutely be changed in direction? Do they understand that at all? That they might be working and living on borrowed time here? And here's the thing, right? This is what gets me about it. It's like, you know, we have local elections coming up. Labour need a story to tell people for that. And if it's just stick with us because we're not the Tories, if people don't feel the difference, and let's be honest, you know, if it's a high tax burden, as it is, and it's not going to go down in the next few weeks, if it's shit public services, if it's trans hysteria and all the tabloid misinformation put out specifically to convince people that even their very few modest successes that Labour have got over the line are all fucking catastrophic, then people will just stay the fuck home, won't they? They won't come out to support Labour. So it's better now that they're bold, or honestly, they are fucked. And I know this isn't very funny, but I need to get this off my chest, right? People I know and love and respect see this a little bit differently. You know, they quite reasonably worry that if I or we or people did turn the cannon on Labour, you know, if this group of people or that leader or thought leader or whatever, if they did turn on Labour, that it would, you know, embolden the far right. And I get that. I understand that. I understand the fear that by trashing Labour, it strengthens the right wing's message that Starmer is hopeless or untrustworthy or unpopular. But the alternative is what? That we just sit back and coast and watch more and more of this tepid, mediocre, male bait bullshit, which is basically what it is, right? And then nothing will get better and they'll just get kicked out anyway. That is where that will head. By not doing anything for fear of emboldening the far right. They'll just get kicked out anyway and the far right will win. So, if you're listening to this Labour comms, Labour HQ, I honestly don't know what to tell you. You may as well go big, go bold, and get the flack for it, because nobody's going to come out for the locals or the next general election all G'd up for more of this shit. So just, you know, stop diluting the climate pledges, stop adopting the language and talking points of the right. Stop with the giving non-doms an easier ride. I'm ordering you to. And yes, I do think I'm Jesus. Where is my Patreon? Sign up to my cult. Join my caliphate. Right, should we get on to a final story tonight? Should we have a fun one to round ourselves off with? We've got a few minutes left. We've got time for it, haven't we? Final story, and then, guys, we will break it down for the lock-in. We'll stay on for a bit. We'll do that bit of Q&A. We'll see how you're feeling about all of the things, the myriad chaos, mayhems, and khems that I've thrown at you tonight. Trump's first week, Vladimir Putin, that study on boys and girls. We can kick back and put the world to rights over a nice Thames Water shit smoothie, perhaps. Right. Last story tonight. This is a belter.
Prince Andrew's a nonce-burger.
Okay, so I am. Let me start by saying I am so here for the weird, guys. I don't know how long it's been since I last explained that to some of you. How much of a fan of weird I am. Like, not just weird news stories, although obviously we're all fans of that on this show. But just kind of weird, self-referencing, kind of meta in joke. Like, I can't really expect. Like, so I'll give you a couple of examples, right? So my favorite photo of me and my girlfriend is a photo of us, the pair of us, in IKEA, and we are picking out the frame that the photo of us picking out the frame is later then framed in and put up onto the wall. Like, it's so fucking stupid. It's so ridiculous to have this photo on the wall of us picking out the frame that the photo then ends up with, like, on the wall. But I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm here for the weird, guys. Or another example I sometimes talk about when I talk about this stuff is there's a guy who took a photo of his own face and he had it printed on some cardboard, like big A1 sized cardboard. And then he held it up at a basketball game, like on a big couple of splints or stints or whatever they're called. And so it's just a big picture of his own face. On this, like the way in like American basketball games, they have like massive or like big hands and massive thing, and it's just a big poster, A1 size, of his own face looking unimpressed down at the players. And then he pulls the exact same expression, like, I'll have to dig it out. But I love it. I love it. It's self-referential. It's weird. It's funny. I'm here for the weird. Weirdness is king round these parts. So, here is a story that came out yesterday. Now, bear in mind, here's the context for it. Bear in mind how aggressive the United States is on rolling back women's healthcare, reproductive rights, Roe v. Wade. Lots of Republicans going on record over the last couple of years saying that they actually want to ban birth control. So there's a whole subset of conservative America that cross-sections, I think, with the trad wife movement kind of thing, if you're familiar with that. Where a lot of these people, they truly believe and they wish to legislate for the idea that a woman's role in society is just to reproduce as much as possible, to make babies and then go and make some food. Like, that is the extent. That's where a woman's life starts and finishes. That's their belief system. And they want to legislate to that effect. So, given these rights are being rolled back so aggressively, here is a story. It's off NBC News. It says, Mississippi lawmaker. Should I do the accent? Mississippi lawmaker introduces contraception, begins an erection act. Oh, I love it. The contraception begins at erection act. Oh, okay. All right. It says the bill, which is unlikely to pass, would make it unlawful for a person to discharge genetic material without the intent to fertilize an embryo. So it's criminalizing wanking. What it's doing. And it sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous because it is. It is deliberately. It's supposed to be ridiculous. Right? It's the trolling that I love. Like, deliberate. Like, it's been raised. This bill has been raised by a Democratic senator. And they've deliberately done it to take what the Republicans say and do and just exaggerate it to the fucking nth degree, just to fucking roast them. You know, I love it. So it says, let me read a little bit more. It says, Mississippi State Senator Bradford Blackman, a Democrat, introduced a bill this week that would seemingly ban men from masturbating or engaging in other sexual acts when they have no intent to fertilize an embryo. It's got to be about babies, guys. Always about babies. You put that thing away, unless it's for a baby. You know? You can have Mississippi fathers like storming into their son's bedroom like unannounced. They're like, "Whoa, what were you doing there, boy?" You can be like, I was jerking off, Pop. God damn it! I told you not to do that shit. The son's gonna be like, "Right, cause I'll go blind, or cause it's shameful, or cause I was doing it to Gavin Newsom, or no, you moron." Because you're going to end up in the county jail. It's illegal now. Can't afford that bail. Put your dick away. It says the bill titled I'm not sure the wording's right on this. It says the bill titled the Contraception Begins at Erection Act. I feel like it should be Conception. Conception Begins at Erection Act. That would be better. Don't know if that's a typo or whatever. Anyway, the bill titled Contraception Begins at Erection Act would make it unlawful for a person to discharge genetic material without the intent to fertilize an embryo. It includes exceptions for sperm donation. Wow. That's generous. That's nice. That's good. Exceptions for sperm donation. A lot of busy sperm banks coming up in Mississippi if this passes. Formerly dead, just empty sperm banks are going to have queues and queues of horny, awkward, twitchy dudes just lining up round the street to jerk off in a medical cubicle. Legally. It's going to be staff with, white clipboards and white jackets welcoming them in, like, you're just this way. So you're here to donate to help couples conceive? Yeah, sure. Whatever. I just felt really stressed this morning. Fuck. What's happened to my monitor, man? Don't know what happened there. Oh, do you know what? It's because I had this on I switched my monitor on and set up the channel way earlier today, so it's probably warning me behind my head. Saying Aid, your monitor's about to turn off. It's been on for a while and you haven't touched it. Anyway, where was I? So, yeah, lot of busy sperm bags, right? Or do you know what? If it's not going to be busy sperm bags, maybe loads of horny teenage boys will just disguise their bedroom as a sperm bank, so then technically it's not illegal anymore. Or if it's not their bedroom, it'll be their morning shower. Loads of horny dads disguising their morning shower as a sperm bank. Just generously donating the night's load to the plug hole. That's where that's heading. If this bill passes. It says if the bill introduced Monday would impose fines. Wow. Would impose fines of $1,000 for a first offense, $5,000 for a second offense, and $10,000 for any subsequent offenses. So that's good. It's good that it slowly gets worse, isn't it? Because it sort of encourages escalation, doesn't it? First time you do it, you get caught, you're like, God damn it! Shit just cost me $5,000! You know? And you get a really exaggerated post-climax moment of clarity, wouldn't you? That post-wank shame would be worse than fucking ever. After you get fined $5,000 for doing it, on top of the normal shame. You'd be like, oh, great. Now I feel shame. I feel like a piece of shit, and we can't afford to go on holiday. Fucking great. Go me. Awesome. And then the second time you get busted doing it. Second time you're like, well, I'm not falling for that shit again. And then you do fall for it again. You lose control of your inhibitions. End up losing half of your house deposit money. What the fuck? But then you've learned your lesson after number 2, right? After the first, like $1,000 or the $5,000, you're like, I'm never doing this again. That's it. I've had enough. I can't afford it. House deposit won't take it. I want to take my family away on a holiday. I'm never doing that again. So you leave it. You don't do it in the shower, not last thing at night, nothing. You leave it a couple of days. You leave it a week, maybe 2. But then eventually at some point you're going to get so horny and backed up that it's just going to be worth the $10,000 fine. Isn't it? To just buckle and go buck wild. Just 2 minutes later, you're just slumped there and drenched now with fucking pants round your ankles and this hand on a checkbook. You're like, oh, it's totally worth it though. $10,000. It says the bill is unlikely to pass the GOP-led legislator, but if it does, and if it is signed into law by the Governor Tate Reeves, who is a Republican, it would then go into effect in July. It's quite quick, isn't it? Senator Blackman said, and I quite like this. He sounds like a good dude. Senator Blackman says, all across the country, especially here in Mississippi, the vast majority of bills relating to contraception and or abortion focus on the woman's role, when men are 50% of the equation, he wrote. This bill highlights that fact and brings the man's role into the conversation. People can get up in arms and call it absurd, but I can't say that bothers me. And I am here for it, guys. I am here for the equality. I'm here for the humour. And I hope it does pass. I hope it does. And truly, I will be, if it does, I will be right here cheersing it with my fucking Thames Water shit smoothie. Right, guys, that's it. That's it for the main podcast proper. Thank you very much for tuning in this evening. If you're not on Patreon and you haven't signed up to support the channel yet, it does start at just £1 fucking pound a month. And if you go upwards from there, then you start to get the benefits. The episodes of the pod 2 days before everybody else. You get access to the Discord chat. The next in-person meetup is probably going to be in the summer now, probably about June. Or you could pay me £1,000 and I will just shut the fuck up for a month. There is that option on Patreon. I'm not kidding. Don't forget, also, I put up clips on the podcast out into a special clips channel now. So if you're not subscribed to that, it is a totally separate channel to this one. Then go and give it a quick like and a subscribe and all the rest of the stuff that people say at the end of their videos. But for this part of the podcast, for the podcast main, because, of course, we are about to break it down to the lockdown, to the Q&A in but a moment. Then that's it for this one. I'm back on Monday with the alternative paper review. Until next time, keep it booch, keep it bimfluencer, and we are out this motherfucker. Right, let's do this. Where's the lock-in? Here we go. Oh, what's happened to the music, man? How's that? Can you still hear me over the top of this music? Do you want me to turn the music up a little bit? I gotta take this shirt off. You want the music up a bit, do you? Okay. Is that better? Oh, man. I am sweating. Sweating like a motherfucker. Music up a notch more. Okay. Here we go. There we go. Hopefully that's all right. I can't actually... I can't hear... I've got no, like, monitors. Yeah. It's a bit difficult. Anyway, how are we all doing? Shall I scan back through the chat a little bit? How far back will it let? Oh, I can actually see the whole chat tonight. That's good. Richard Marston says, oh wait, hold on, 7:40. I can get back to 7:40. That's all right then. So where are we? Labour comms are run by Mr. Blobby, says Stu. Yes, that is a theory. It's a theory that I wouldn't necessarily throw out. Oh my fucking lord, we've got 421 views tonight, guys. How about that shit? How about that shit? And then I can actually turn the other one off. There you go. There we go. All right. All right. Oh, fuck. Fuck me in the face and call me fuckface. That's probably better. There we go. So. What are we going to do, man? What should we talk about? I'm scanning all the way back here, right? So. China and Saudi have money, though. Not when the oil's gone. It'll just be China. Gareth says, Mr. Blobby is competent compared to the current comms team. I love the way, like, everybody kind of, universally accepts, don't we, that Labour comms are just fucking terrible. And I feel bad for whoever does it, because it can't be. Either it's just an impossible job, because the right-wing press is like the flip side of it. Like, you can't go out there and speak your truth as Labour comms, because the right-wing press just utterly maul you, and it's just another offshoot, another tentacle problem of that unregulated press piece. Maybe that's what it is. But I can't help but wonder if it could be done better than it currently is being done. What else have we got here? Trump got himself even thicker Sharpie this time. What with all of his new bills that he signed off for? They're not bills, are they? Actually, they're executive orders, all of them. But yeah, he's been very like signature happy the last few days. I honestly worry about where America is going to head now, because it feels like I used to say it was going to head towards civil war, but it feels now like, the bad side won, and now everyone... Ah, fuck! My fucking camera. Hold on. I could just see that. I was like, is that going to fall off in a second? Sorry, guys. How's that? That's a little bit better. Hopefully that's better. There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, it feels like the bad side won, and now like the good side won't necessarily fight back all that. Like, people have families and jobs, and they should fight for it, but also it I don't know, man. Like, does anyone else just feel like it's going to slide into an authoritarian state now, and basically nobody will do anything? Like, the Democratic Party is sort of like dead on its arse. There's no leadership there. Who the fuck is going to stand up to MAGA and all the social media networks and the newspapers that have been bought over there? It's such a state. It's not looking too good, is it? Rich Marsden says, you are a foreigner commentating on good old America. Yeah, I'm at peace with that. I always say, whenever people say, keep America's name out of your mouth, or, fix your own country's problems. Stop poking your nose in. I always say the same thing. I'm like, I tell you what, like when America stopped poking their nose into other people's countries and launching covert coups and nation building, overthrowing governments and shit, then I think everyone else will agree to butt out. But until then, I look at it like, you know, we've all got carte blanche to poke our beaks in a little bit when it comes to America's affairs. Trump is the only president with no pets, says Alex French. That's interesting. I remember hearing that once before. It is an interesting little sort of fact, isn't it, about him? Because sociopaths don't really like animals. And it is fairly well documented that like a lot of people think he is a sociopath, don't they? He's definitely a narcissist, but is he a sociopath? I mean, he doesn't seem to harbour an awful lot of empathy. So, and the lack of a pet does kind of speak to that, also, doesn't it? I tell you what, Trump strikes me as, right? He strikes me as a sort of Mr. Burns type figure, where he's obscenely... I was going to say he's obscenely rich. He's not actually... Well, maybe he is now with the crypto coin thing, but he's one of these very, let's say, wealthy and influential and now very powerful people, but completely devoid of empathy, and somebody that I could totally imagine, if there were the technology, the biotech, the pharmaceuticals, whatever, to take his son's body from him, to switch them round, so his son is stuck in the old man, skin slacky, basically about to die testicle suit. You know, and then Donald wakes up in Don Jr. You know, like one of those trashy 80s movies where, like, you know, the 18 and the 81-year-old switch bodies. The old person and the young person. Donald Trump strikes me as the sort of person who would do that deliberately to his own son, to take his younger body and then go and live his best life and leave his son to die in his old body. That's... I don't know where that idea first populated in my brain from. If I read it somewhere, am I stealing it off someone, or did I imagine it? You know what I mean? But it's... ever since it first arrived in my head, like it's a thought that I keep returning to in my brain. I'm like, he strikes me unequivocally as the sort of person who would do that. He just does. Russell Cannon says he lives in an alternate reality where normal rules and consequences don't apply because nobody can reach into and affect that space. I assume that is, we're still talking about Trump here, right? And yeah, I think you're right. I mean, to some extent, I don't know if you guys listen to the news agents much, but to some extent, he's constructed alternate realities for himself. Like whether you're talking about, you know, QAnon or losing the election versus having the election stolen from him, or pretending that these trials were like witch hunts and sham courts and all that stuff. He constructs these realities, but he has also constructed a reality for himself where he is untouchable. He's not going to go to jail. He's going to get let off of everything now. There isn't a price to pay. Like I was doing a thing earlier, like putting some prep kind of notes together for either tonight or like another video. And I was saying like how wild it is that you will not be able to tell children, American children now, that crime doesn't pay. You know? Like, how are you going to tell your son or daughter in the US that crime doesn't pay, that you shouldn't lie, that if you do this, then there will be consequences? Like, all they have to do is fucking open a page of the Wall Street Journal or New York Post or whatever and just go like, what, you mean like this guy? You mean like it didn't happen to this guy and he went on to become the fucking president? Like, what kind of a lesson are you going to be able to teach your children now in America? I was also thinking like how weird it is that Gen Z, Gen A. One of the big tragedies of all this is that they will grow up with this sort of conduct normalised. Like, we grew up in a sort of fairly politically boring time, I thought. You had your Tony Blairs, your John Majors, Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton. And yes, they had their vices, and yes, they had their shortcomings, but nothing like this. But now, as a consequence of this, of him, these kids will grow up thinking that this is just how politics is, that all politicians are this bad. Like, I know they're bad, but people will think that they are this bad, that this is just what politics is. I think it's a real shame that the left are so fucking nutless when it comes to exacting consequences on people, because, even just here, like when we were talking about the Musk donation that was going to go to Reform for 100 million, and Starmer was like, no, we're not going to restrict him from interfering in politics. We're going to beat Reform at the debate table. We will challenge them on their ideas, and that's how we'll beat Reform. I'm just like, you are out of your fucking mind. I don't know what game it is that you think you're playing, but that is not, like, the rules have changed. You're playing a completely different kind of politics. You're playing politics from like 2005-ish. These guys are playing 2025. You need to catch up by about 20 years. But yeah, and it's not just Starmer, obviously. It's the Democratic Party in the US as well, are very sluggish to actually talk about, I don't know, like even this election. Like, I don't want to get all conspiracy theory about it. I don't want to descend to the MAGA level of conspiracy theories and misinformation and all that. But I'm still slightly jarred by the expectation that we should all believe that against all of the polls said it was like neck and neck. Against all of, like, disproving all of those polls in every single one of those states, he conquered every single one of the swing states against the predictions. That, to me, is fishy. That's strange. And nobody's talking about that. Everyone's just like, we're not going to descend to the same level as MAGA. We're not going to do an insurrection. We're not going to start banging on about voter fraud. Let's just accept it. Let's be gracious. And I'm like, yeah, I understand. Let's be the bigger man. But also, can we just for shits and giggles, can we just look into one of them? Can we just have a little poke around? But again, it's like, it's like Labour over here. They don't want to create hysteria or incite civil unrest or something. I don't know. It's like there's a definite parallel between the Democrats and Labour in the way that they handle populism, and I just don't think it's successful. I think the last 12 years-ish have proven demonstrably, inarguably, that approaching populism with reason and grace does not fucking work. So you need to rethink whatever the strategy is going to be. What else have we got? Diz says he had blanket TV ads in the swing states. Yeah, but then it's like, even with the blanket TV ads, like, the polls should have picked that up, right? Like, if the blanket TV ads worked, it would make Ron and Hank and Buck and Peter and Phil and Marge and Mavis, all of them, as they're answering the phones and being polled or vox popped in the streets, all of them would say, well, I've been thinking a lot about Trump, but actually, I think I'm going to stay Democrat. Like, and it would, when it comes out in the wash as the poll, saying like 51-49 or whatever the polls were, it would be reflected, and it wasn't. It was like neck and neck in all of these swing states. By the very nature of the fact that we call them swing states, they're so to the wire. So I don't know, man. It's like every one of them, really? Each swing state, all of them, to Trump is, I don't know. I still feel unsettled about that. More so now that I see him signing off the executive orders that he is signing off. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, can we look back a little bit? Just a couple of them. Jim Speak says, when they go low, we roll over. Yeah, I mean, that's what it feels like. It's like everyone's just pussyfooting around, trying to play nice because they either don't want to upset the male, or they don't want to descend to the level of MAGA. And I understand both of those, but at least with the male, there is a solution there. You could actually rein in the press. It's been mooted that psychopaths are ruled by their id, whereas sociopaths are ruled by their ego. That's interesting. Yeah, I studied psychotherapy for a little bit, and psychotherapy and psychoanalysis. And yeah, the id is like your just raw animalistic desire. So I want to kill this person. I want to fuck that person. I want to do that, like run in and steal this thing. But your id is constrained by your ego and your superego, I think, from memory. I can't remember how that would work. Very Jung and Freud, says Jim Speak. But neither are in the DSM now, replaced with levels of antisocial personality disorders. Yeah. Diz says the slogan was Harris is for they, them, Trump is for you. Yeah, it's a clever slogan, I suppose. I just wish, do you know what? I wish that there were a charismatic leader of the Democrats or Labour who would just literally just go, we don't have the fucking time to mess about with this like caricaturing of like, oh, the blue-haired social justice warrior, the they, them stuff. Can a girl have a penis? We don't have the fucking time for this. We have crisis upon crisis. We have to solve this. And the only way we're going to solve it is by working together. So come with me, come with us on this journey now as we try. We're just going to try to solve some of the problems that we're facing. Like some sort of message of unity and outright dismissal of all of the culture war stuff would be so refreshing. Instead of this, like, you know, reforms say, we'll go to the next election on the trans debate, or, you know, the Tories say that, or somebody starts arguing about poppies, and then Labour have to pussyfoot around that so they don't offend potential, like, centre-right types who might lend their vote to Labour. And, you know, it's like Labour just scared to actually talk about that stuff for fear that they then get boxed up as being, you know, woke. Oh, you don't want to vote for them. They're woke. Completely detached from the real Britain. I just wish there was somebody who had the gravitas and the command to just say that, to just be like, I don't have the fucking time to argue with you about this nonsense. Can we just talk about actual problems? Please, Nick Ferrari. Has my Wi-Fi gone? Has it dropped out? Has my Wi-Fi disappeared? You have to tell me if I come back online. Let me just check if I can. I've still got internet. Have I frozen? I shall ask. There we go. We're back. Okay, good. Good. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. How long was I out for? What was I talking about? Just talking to myself. But maybe it is my kid. He's on Roblox tonight. So maybe he's maxing out the connection. Although, I mean, I always do a test on my Wi-Fi strength and it says excellent connection. So hopefully it's all right. Anyway, any other questions? Yuri, Stu, my boy Stu, has said, has everyone survived Storm... Is it Owen? Owen? Ewan? I don't know how to pronounce it. Do you know what? We didn't really even get touched by it here because we're out in Hampshire. But yeah, I gather that people lost power and heating and stuff for a little bit. Jim says it's pronounced Eowyn. Okay. I noticed like the last storm that we had just before this one, right? So it blew down our fence. It's cost us a fucking $1,000 to get it all fixed. And then they were saying like, oh, there's going to be another like 5 storms before Christmas. I was like, fucking no. I can't keep paying out £5,000 every December for this sort of collection of storms. $5,000. It's effectively a fine, isn't it? And I didn't even get caught wanking in Mississippi. So, Stu says he had no power for 4 hours and my bins are enjoying the Bahamas. Oh dear. You get blown away. That's not good. I always wondered, maybe somebody in the chat can explain this to me. But why don't fences have a sort of like a slidable thing? Like, how come the planks on a fence don't slide to the side to let air through? So then on a windy day, you can just walk out into your garden and go like, right, let's just let the air through, you know, like slide a little hatch open for every like 2 or 3 of them. And then the air would just, you know, the wind would blow through and your fence wouldn't get blown down. Why is that not a thing? How were they not engineered that way? Answers on a postcard. Tackleberry's in the chat tonight, just noticed, sorry. What's up, Tackleberry? Sarah Davies said earlier, Trump has effectively gotten rid of all men by saying sex is assigned at conception, as we were all female at the time of conception. Yeah. I don't know if he would see it that way. Just all of this stuff seems so weird and what's the word? Distraction-y. And I talked a bit about this on TikTok earlier, like the Trump stuff. The thing that worries those of us with brains about Trump is that populists like him, people on the populist right, they need someone to blame because they promise the world, they promise the moon on a stick, don't they? And then when they can't deliver it and we're still facing the challenges that we are facing and will continue to face, they need scapegoats, and those scapegoats will become more like drastically needed and vociferously chastised and condemned. So it starts with, this is what I was saying on the TikTok, I was like, it starts with us saying that we need to leave the EU because we don't want any more Polish. But then that isn't hard enough. So then it has to be leaving the single market and the customs union too. Then we're all about boats, and it just has to get harder and harder and further right, because the alternative is that they admit that they don't know what the fuck they're doing and that they can't deliver the things that they promised, which is what you see with like Nigel Farage, right? He needs a new grift, partly to sustain his political profile, but partly to distract from the fact he can't deliver on the last promise. You know, so it was about leaving the EU. That was going to solve all of the problems. Then he ran away. Said he was going to get his life back, didn't he? And then when he sniffed that there might be an opportunity with net zero, he was like, oh, a net zero referendum. So he jumped onto that grift. Everything's about net zero legislation. That's the new thing. And a bit of boats. And then it's banks. But it's always net migration as well, isn't it, with him? But it's the same thing with Trump now. Like, it's going to start with the rescinding of birthright citizenship for second-generation immigrants. But it won't stop there. You know, he's promised that he's going to make America great again, that it's going to be a return to the golden age. And he's not going to be able to deliver that. So he's going to have to find new people to blame. So it's going to start with illegal immigrants, and then it moves to second generation legal immigrants, and then it's going to move to what, like Jews, just regular black people, people of South Asian heritage, Chinese people. Like, it's just going to become more widely encapsulating because the alternative is completely unfathomable to them, to Trump, to Farage, and that is the risk. That's what really worries me, is like, where does the sociopathic, nationalist, populist right go when it's run out of scapegoats? And, you know, history provides a terrifying answer to that question. Gareth says, when was the golden age? Well, you know, allegedly, if you're a Trump fanatic, I think you think it was in the 1950s, you know? The baby boom, rock and roll, Motown, the Detroit motor industry, Hollywood's golden age also around that time. It's just a, you know, very impressive time, I think, for America after the war. Industrially, culturally. But, you know, they also forget a lot of other stuff that was terrible. And it's like, here, you know, we mythologize? I don't know what that word is now. We mythify. There you go. Mythologize. I think that's the word, isn't it? I think we mythologize these years gone by, these eras gone by, like the Blitz, like the war, like the 60s, as though they were incredible. But in actual fact, you know, a lot of diseases were running riot. Crime was a lot worse. Women had no rights. They were just stuffed in the kitchen and told to get on with it. Child death rates were significantly worse. You know, and it's that golden age, that golden era that I think they yearn to return to, even though they actually don't really know anything about the reality of what that era was like. Otto English talks a lot about this stuff, or at least used to on Twitter back when I was on it. Tackleberry's giving me a wavy emoji. What's up? What's up, Tackleberry? Richard Grumpy Git says it'll be mind crimes next. Anyone thinking bad of Trump is out. Do you know what? I might have to, like, if he starts going after dissidents, you know, I don't think that will happen here yet. If it does, it won't be until after Labour get out, I hope. I can't imagine Labour doing that. But it could, I mean, things could get that authoritarian anywhere, I think. If people get desperate enough, which they are becoming desperate already, if they feel that the government is not on their side, and somebody else is over here to the right saying like, I could fix all of these problems for you. Why are you trusting them? Look, they obviously can't deliver, so come vote for me. I will fix all your problems, and all you have to do is just get rid of that guy down the road who doesn't look like you. Like, people will side with somebody who they really hope and pray can solve their problems. And unfortunately, there's a lot of sociopaths out there who will exploit that. It was a clap aid for remembering the word mythologize. Oh, thank you. Thanks, man. I talked about Caitlyn Jenner on the midweek show about how Caitlyn Jenner was cheering on Trump for his inauguration and, you know, his election success and all the rest of it, and somebody quote tweeted him going like, he's literally just legislated for the US government to now call you Bruce, like her, what would be considered her dead name, right? Her old name. And it's stuff like that. It's like, you know, it starts with these ideas, these comments, this rhetoric that is just seen as a bit volatile, a bit salacious. Oh, he's not like a normal politician, is it? He says it how it is. It's a bit contentious. But it gets harder. It becomes harder. We're seeing a more hardline, mean-spirited Donald Trump now than we ever did in like 2017, 2018, right? I mean, in his campaign, he was saying, round up the immigrants, construct detention centers until we figure out what we're going to do with them. Like, if he does construct camps, people are not going to call them like concentration camps. They'll call them something else. People like Caitlyn Jenner won't ever believe that he would come for her. But he is already kind of ish coming for her. You know, I mean, if she gets any sort of documentation and statements or, you know, tax returns or something from the government, are we now saying that Donald Trump's White House and what's their tax thing? The IRS, isn't it? IRS are going to write to her and refer to her as Bruce? You know, at what point do trans women become the scapegoat? Oh, it's because of the trans women. That's why your kids are unsafe at school, because all the trans women something. Like, at what point is that scapegoat catch-all going to expand out and also capture the people who never thought it would go for them? And it does, like, there's so many parallels to Nazi Germany with this stuff. I know that sounds hysterical, and I know that people tell us that we are hysterical when we draw the parallel. But it is, like, I've read up on this a few weeks back about what people went through in the 1930s. You know, it said a lot of people thought that the rhetoric was just hyperbole. It was just campaigning. It was just there to sort of win over the ignorant masses. Until they got in, until they needed somebody else to blame, until that rhetoric had to go further and further and harder to the right. And I wonder, you know, to what extent this is going to go down that same direction. Like, how many news reports did you guys see? I'm going to have to go in a minute. Yeah, I can see. I've glitched again a minute ago, didn't I? Sorry. How many news reports did you guys see after the election? I remember covering one, actually. I put some clips on a video of immigrants who voted for Trump. You know, like Mexicans for Trump. And the journalist would ask them in the street, like, you know, so why are you voting? Look, he said all these things about Mexicans before, like your family is Mexican. Doesn't that bother you? And this guy was like, no, because he's a Christian. He's a godly man. Like, they love the fact that he's Christian, supposedly. Like Russell Brand is a Christian. They love the fact that he's anti-abortion because they were Mexican Catholics who were against abortion. They're very pro-life. And they were like, you know, we think he just says that stuff to, you know, to whip up the masses. And I wonder how they're feeling this week, seeing this birthright citizenship thing get rescinded. You know, and diversity and inclusion roles and affirmative action get rowed back. I wonder how they all feel about that. You know, do they understand that they were conned? Do they accept that all the things that we've been warning about with him are true and they do need to be worried? Do they understand that? Or are they still telling themselves, like, oh, no, it's just the other people. I don't think they'll come for me. I don't know. I think we're safe. Like, what a weird... I mean, we were talking earlier, weren't we, about constructing realities. What a weird reality to have constructed yourself, where you truly believe that those rules, the published rules, the policy, the speeches, won't apply to you. Like, it's so darkly funny. You know, more talented satirists than I would be able to find or mine the humour in that. But Diz says, this is what we're witnessing. X-Dad says, I salute your understanding. Thank you, man. Trump likes the bitty, shitty, fitty. What does that mean? That's from Richard Marsden. Brand found God when he got found out, says Ernie Burns. Yes. I mean, that's another one. How nobody sees through these chances is just bewildering. Like, he got accused of multiple rapes, and suddenly he finds God. I mean, this is the irony. I was going to do a joke about this earlier in the podcast main. Going to say, like, you know, the irony of all these guys railing against diversity and inclusion hires, DEI they call it, I think, and affirmative action. The irony of it is that they're all such, you know, fire-breathing Christians now, and the Christianity is the most inclusive organization in the world, because they're like, we don't care if are you a crook, are you corrupt, are you a rapist, in you come. In you come, lads. Just go and sit in that cubicle for 5 minutes and say you're sorry, and boom, suddenly you're good now. How is that for inclusivity? And diversity. Right, I gotta go, guys. I got to run, go and check my son is all right and get him off to sleep. So thank you very much for tuning in. I'm sorry if it was a bit glitchy in the last half an hour or so. Hopefully it was all right, though, in the main podcast section. As I said earlier, I will be back for the alternative paper review next week. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, to the channel, please do so now. Don't think about it later. Don't say I'll come back later. Make sure you're subscribed and you click like now. And I will catch you all on the flip side. All right, take care of yourselves. Keep it booge. Keep it binfluencer. And of course, I am out this motherfucker. Cha.